Ever feel like maybe, just maybe, you're the only one seeing the real picture?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you might have more in common with Maddie Hatter than you think.
Interesting.
Today, we're diving into fan theories about Ever After High's Maddie Hatter.
Okay.
She's the daughter of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Got it.
For those not in the know.
Right.
And how this whimsical character might be a secret genius hiding in plain sight.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
What's really cool is how these theories connect Maddie's seemingly random quirks to real-world psychology and even touch upon some pretty controversial ideas about female empowerment.
I know, right?
Get ready to see a children's story in a whole new light.
Okay, let's unpack this. One theory suggests that Maddie's eccentric personality, the riddles, the offbeat comments, the way she sees things others miss, could be a sign of neurodivergence.
The source points out that neurodivergent individuals often excel in areas like creative problem solving and thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
It suggests that Maddie might not just be quirky, but actually wired differently.
Right.
Giving her a unique perspective on the world.
So she's not just random.
No.
She's rocking a different brain style.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
But it gets even wilder.
Okay.
Another theory suggests that Maddie's awareness of being in a story hints at a higher level of consciousness.
Oh, wow.
She interacts with the narrators and seems to understand she's part of a narrative.
This idea connects to the concept of metacognition.
Okay.
Basically, thinking that people with strong metacognitive skills are often highly adaptable and excel at complex problem solving because they can analyze their own thought processes.
So she's not just aware of the story.
Right.
She's aware that she's aware.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The source even suggests that Maddie might be subtly manipulating events to help her friends or achieve her goals.
That ties into the psychological concept of locus of control.
Okay.
Which is the belief about whether you control your own destiny or outside forces do.
Yeah.
If Maddie is consciously shaping her story, it positions her as someone who takes charge.
Right.
A far cry from the typical damsel in distress trope.
Okay. I'm starting to see why Maddie has such a dedicated following.
Yeah, me too.
It's like she's secretly running the show.
It really is.
But there's another layer to her that I find super interesting.
Okay, what's that?
Her tea obsession.
Oh, the tea.
That's far more than just a cute quirk.
You think so?
The source suggests it could symbolize mindfulness, the practice of being present in the moment.
That makes sense.
No matter how chaotic Wonderland gets,
Uh-huh.
Maddie always makes time for tea.
It's true.
It's like her grounding ritual.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's like those of us who swear by our morning coffee.
Yeah.
It's not just the caffeine, it's the routine that sets us up for the day.
Totally.
But the source takes this even further.
Okay.
Suggesting that Maddie's tea parties might be a secret weapon.
Oh, wow.
For navigating a world that often feels crazy.
Think about it.
Okay.
In a world of constant demands and information overload, Maddie's tea time is a powerful reminder to slow down.
Right.
Be present.
Yeah.
And reconnect with yourself.
That's a good point.
It's a message that resonates deeply, especially today.
It's like she's saying, well, you can be as mad as you want, but I'm taking a break with my tea.
I love that.
But get ready for this next theory.
Okay.
It blew my mind.
What is it?
The source suggests that Wonderland itself, with all its chaos and absurdity, is a metaphor for the female experience.
Now we're getting into potentially controversial territory. The source draws on research showing that women often express their intense emotions through creative outlets. Wonderland, with its shifting rules and unpredictable nature, could symbolize the power and complexity of a woman's inner world.
So it's like Maddie's not just navigating Wonderland.
Oh.
She's navigating the unique challenges and strengths of being a woman in a world that doesn't always get it.
Exactly.
And this is where the idea of female empowerment comes in.
Right.
Maddie thrives in chaos, bends the rules, and embraces her unique way of thinking.
It's true.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially for young girls who are often pressured to fit in and play it safe.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Me too.
So we've got Maddie as a possible neurodivergent icon, a meta-narrative mastermind who might be pulling the strings of her own story,
Right.
a mindfulness guru,
Yeah.
and a symbol of female empowerment.
Wow.
Is there anything this character can't do?
Well, she does seem to attract trouble.
True.
But that's part of her charm.
That's a good point.
The real question is,
Yeah.
why does Maddie still resonate so deeply with people, even years after Ever After High ended?
Why do you think that is? I mean, she's cool and all.
Yeah.
But what makes her so enduringly popular?
The source argues that it's because Maddie embodies a sense of joy and authenticity that's become increasingly rare.
I can see that.
In a world where everyone's trying to project a perfect image,
Yeah.
Maddie stands out.
For sure.
She owns her quirks, celebrates her differences,
Mm-hmm.
and never apologizes for who she is.
It's like she gives us permission to be ourselves.
Yeah.
Even when that feels a little mad.
Totally.
And honestly, who couldn't use a little more of that Maddie Hatter magic in their lives?
I know, right.
Exactly.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Maddie's story isn't about escaping into fantasy.
Yeah.
It's about finding that same sense of wonder and possibility in our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embracing our own Maddiness.
Okay.
Those unique qualities that make us who we are.
I love that.
Me too.
So how do we tap into that?
That's the question.
How do we bring a little bit of Wonderland into our own lives?
Yeah.
I mean, besides throwing a tea party,
Right.
which I'm totally down for.
Well, that's a question we'll explore further as we dive deeper into the source material. But
Yeah.
for now, I think it's worth asking yourself, what would Maddie do?
That's a good one.
Right.
What would Maddie do?
Yeah.
Maybe she ditched the boring meeting to chase a rainbow?
Maybe.
Or just tell a really terrible pun to lighten the mood?
Or maybe she'd simply remind us that it's okay to be different, to embrace our quirks, and to find joy in the unexpected.
I think that's something we can all raise a teacup to.
Cheers to that.
But you know what? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Do any of these theories about Maddie resonate with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth to the idea that she represents a different way of being in the world, a way that's more playful, more intuitive.
And less bound by convention?
And don't forget, potentially neurodivergent.
Right.
I mean, think about the implications of that.
Yeah.
A popular character who subtly challenges how we view different ways of thinking.
It's pretty groundbreaking.
Pretty groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It suggests that our differences,
Right.
the things that make us unique,
Yeah.
can actually be our greatest strength.
Exactly. And I think that's something that a lot of people, especially women, struggle with.
Yeah.
We're often told to fit in, to be agreeable,
Right.
to not make waves.
Yeah.
But Maddie's like, nope, I'm going to be me. And the world can just deal with it.
I love that.
And that's what makes her so inspiring.
It really is.
She shows us that it's okay to embrace our quirks, to be unapologetically ourselves.
Right.
Even if that means being a little bit mad.
I agree.
Okay, but let's get back to this idea of Wonderland as a metaphor for the female experience.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bold claim, right?
It is, but I think there's something to be said for it.
Okay.
Think about the way women are often portrayed in traditional fairy tales, either as innocent princesses waiting to be rescued,
Right.
or as evil stepmothers plotting their downfall.
It's like they're trapped in these limited roles with no room for complexity or nuance.
Exactly.
Right.
But Maddie defies those stereotypes.
Okay.
She's not a damsel in distress,
Great.
and she's not a villain.
Yeah.
She's something else entirely.
She's like a walking, talking rejection of those tired old tropes.
Precisely.
I like that.
And that's what makes her so revolutionary.
Okay.
She shows us that women can be strong and independent without being aggressive. They can be quirky and eccentric without being weak. They can be both playful and powerful.
Right.
And they don't have to choose between the two.
I love that.
Me too.
It's like she's breaking free from the binary and showing us that there's a whole spectrum of possibilities when it comes to being a woman.
Exactly. And that's what the source is getting at when it talks about Wonderland as a metaphor for the female experience. It's a place where the rules of the ordinary world don't apply.
Right.
And that includes the rules that try to define who women are and what they can be.
So it's like Wonderland is a metaphor for a world where women are free to be their full selves.
Yeah.
Without being limited by societal expectations.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful message, especially for young girls who are growing up in a world
Yeah.
that's still full of limiting stereotypes about gender.
Sure.
Maddie shows them that they can be anything they want to be.
Right.
And that they don't have to conform to anyone else's expectations.
Yeah, I love that.
And me too.
It's like she's giving them permission to dream big, to break the mold, and to create their own happily ever after.
Exactly.
And that's why Maddie Hatter is so much more than just a character in a children's story. She's a symbol of hope, a reminder that anything is possible, and an inspiration to us all.
Well said.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But there's so much more to explore.
I know, right?
We've only just begun to scratch the surface of what makes Maddie Hatter such a fascinating and enduring figure.
I agree.
You're right.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to leave our listeners with a thought.
Okay, what is it?
We've talked about channeling our inner Maddie Hatter, about embracing our quirks and finding our own wonderland.
Right.
But what does that actually look like in real life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
It's different for everyone.
Right.
But I think it starts with cultivating a sense of playfulness and curiosity.
Like a child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember how kids are constantly asking why and exploring the world with a sense of wonder?
Okay.
Then Maddie embodies that same spirit.
Okay.
She's not afraid to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and see the world through a different lens.
So it's about reclaiming that childlike sense of wonder.
Yes.
And approaching life with a more open and playful attitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that can involve anything from trying new things to simply paying attention to the little details that we often overlook.
Yeah.
It's about finding the magic in the everyday.
I like that.
Me too.
It's like turning our everyday routines into mini adventures.
Exactly.
And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll even stumble upon our own personal wonderland along the way.
Exactly. It's about finding those spaces, physical or mental, where we feel most alive, creative, and connected to ourselves.
So it's not necessarily a physical location.
Right.
It's more like a feeling or a state of being.
Precisely.
Okay.
It could be anything from getting lost in a good book to dancing like nobody's watching, to exploring a new part of town.
Yeah.
It's about finding those activities that make you feel truly present and engaged.
I think we all have those things.
Yeah.
Even if we don't always make time for them.
That's true.
But maybe that's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Carving out space in our lives for those wonderland moments.
Exactly.
Maybe it's time we all took a page from Maddie's book and scheduled a little tea time, even if it's just for 5 minutes a day.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's where the power of ritual comes in.
Yeah.
Creating those small intentional moments in our day can make a huge difference in how we feel and how we experience the world.
It's like building our own little wonderland within ourselves.
Yeah.
A place where we can find solace, inspiration, and the strength to face whatever challenges life throws our way.
Beautifully said.
I try.
And that's a message that I think we can all benefit from, whether we're fans of Maddie Hatter or simply looking for ways to navigate the complexities of modern life with more grace and resilience.
Well said.
Thank you.
But we're not done yet.
Okay.
There's still so much more to uncover about Maddie Hatter.
I agree.
In the next part, we're going to delve deeper into the source material.
Okay.
And explore some even more mind-blowing theories about Maddie's connection to tea.
Oh.
And how it might just be her secret weapon for navigating the madness of Wonderland.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Maddie Hatter.
Yeah, before the break, we were discussing how Maddie's seemingly nonsensical world might actually hold profound insights for us.
Right.
We talked about neurodiversity, mindfulness, and even touched upon how Wonderland itself could be a metaphor for the female experience.
It's true.
It's mind-blowing how a character from a children's story can spark such deep conversations, isn't it?
It is.
But I'm really excited to dig into this next theory.
Oh, okay.
The source material suggests that Maddie's tea obsession is more than just a cute quirk.
Okay.
It might actually be her secret weapon for dealing with the craziness of Wonderland.
That's a really intriguing idea.
I know, right?
What makes you think so?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
No matter what's happening around her, Maddie always makes time for a tea party.
Yeah.
It's like her ritual.
Okay.
Her way of creating a moment of peace amidst the chaos.
That's a great observation.
Thanks.
And it connects beautifully with what we know about mindfulness.
Right.
Remember, mindfulness is all about being present in the moment. And creating rituals can be a powerful way to cultivate that awareness.
So it's like Maddie's tea parties are her way of staying grounded and centered,
Yes.
even when the world around her feels completely bonkers.
Exactly.
It's like she's got this secret weapon
Right.
that we could all use a little bit of.
And that's a valuable lesson for all of us, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, who hasn't felt overwhelmed by the demands of modern life?
Yeah.
The constant notifications.
Oh, don't even get me started.
The never-ending to-do list, the pressure to be on all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be a lot.
It's like we're all living in our own version of Wonderland sometimes.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with the frantic pace and nonsensical rules.
And that's where Maddie's wisdom comes in.
Okay, how so?
She reminds us that it's okay to take a break, to step out of the craziness, and create a moment of peace for ourselves.
It's like she's saying, hey, world, I'm going to pause for a bit and have some tea, and you can't stop me.
Exactly.
I love that.
And it's not just about the tea itself.
Right.
It's about the ritual.
Okay.
The act of preparing the tea, savoring the aroma, taking those slow, mindful sips.
Right.
It's a way of slowing down time and reconnecting with ourselves.
I love that.
Me too.
It's like those of us who swear by our morning coffee routines.
Yeah.
It's not just about the caffeine.
Right.
It's about taking a moment to breathe and center ourselves before the day takes over.
Precisely. It's about creating a little pocket of sanity in a world that often feels insane.
But the source material goes even further, suggesting there's something almost magical about Maddie's tea parties.
Oh, really?
Like they're not just about relaxation, but also about tapping into a deeper level of awareness and insight.
That's where we get into the really fascinating stuff.
Okay.
The symbolism and deeper meaning behind these rituals.
Right.
In many cultures, tea ceremonies hold a profound spiritual significance. They're seen as a way to connect with oneself, with others, and even with something greater than oneself.
So it's like Maddie's tea parties are her way of accessing a source of wisdom and strength.
Yeah.
That's beyond the everyday.
Yes.
Like she's brewing up a potion of empowerment with every cup.
That's a wonderful way to put it.
Thanks.
It's about tapping into that inner wellspring of creativity, intuition, and resilience that we all have within us.
Okay, this is all starting to sound very woo-woo.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's kind of resonating with me.
I get that.
I mean, we've all had those moments of clarity or inspiration that seem to come out of nowhere, right?
For sure.
What if those moments aren't so random after all?
Interesting.
What if they're the result of tacking into that deeper level of awareness that Maddie seems to access through her tea parties?
That's a great question.
It is, isn't it?
And it's something that many spiritual traditions have explored for centuries.
Oh, wow.
The idea that there's a part of us that's connected to something larger than ourselves, a source of wisdom and guidance that we can tap into through practices like meditation prayer,
Right.
or even, yes, tea ceremonies.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Oh, right.
But let's bring this back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
I get that Maddie's tea parties might represent this profound spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But how can we apply that to our own lives?
Right.
I mean, most of us aren't facing down talking rabbits and disappearing cats on a daily basis.
That's a fair point.
It is.
But I think the key takeaway here is the importance of creating our own rituals,
Okay.
our own moments of pause and reflection, where we can connect with ourselves and recharge our inner batteries.
So it's not about literally drinking tea.
Right.
It's about finding those activities that bring us a sense of peace, clarity, and connection.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It could be anything from taking a walk in nature to listening to your favorite music to spending a few minutes meditating.
Okay.
The important thing is to find what works for you.
Right.
And to make it a regular practice.
It's like building our own little wonderland within ourselves.
Yeah.
A place where we can find solace, inspiration, and the strength to face whatever challenges life throws our way.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
And that's a message that I think is particularly relevant for women.
Oh, in what way?
You know, we're often socialized to be caretakers.
Yeah.
To put everyone else's needs before our own.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like we're programmed to be the Mad Hatter, constantly pouring tea for everyone else while our own cups run dry.
Right. It's exhausting.
And that's why it's so important for us to create those spaces.
Yeah.
Those rituals, those moments where we can replenish ourselves, where we can reconnect with our own inner wisdom and strength.
It's almost like a radical act of self-care, isn't it?
It is. And it's something that Maddie Hatter embodies so perfectly.
How so?
She's not afraid to take a break to prioritize her own well-being, even in the midst of chaos.
I love that.
Me too.
It's like she's giving us permission to be a little selfish.
Yeah.
To carve out time for ourselves, even when it feels like the world is demanding our constant attention.
Exactly.
I try to remind myself of that all the time.
And I think that's a message that we all need to hear, regardless of our gender.
That's a good point.
In a world that's constantly telling us to do more, be more, achieve more.
Right.
It's radical to simply stop and say, I'm going to take care of myself right now.
I'm starting to see why Maddie Hatter has become such an enduring icon.
Me too.
She's more than just a quirky character from a children's story. She's a symbol of self-acceptance, resilience, and the power of finding peace amidst the madness.
Beautifully put.
Thanks. I try.
But there's one aspect of this T symbolism we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, what is it?
And it might be the most controversial of all.
Ooh, I love little controversy.
The source suggests that Maddie's tea parties could be seen as a subtle act of rebellion against societal norms.
Okay.
Particularly those that limit women's power.
Ooh, now that's interesting.
Right.
Tell me more.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
In many traditional societies, tea parties are associated with femininity and domesticity.
Mm-hmm.
They're seen as a frivolous pastime for women.
Right.
Something to keep them occupied while the men are out doing important things.
So it's like the tea party is this symbol of women being relegated to the sidelines.
Yes.
Expected to be polite and subservient while the men are out running the world.
Exactly.
And it's something we still see today in a lot of ways.
It is.
But Maddie takes that symbol and flips it on its head. She turns the tea party into a source of power. A place where she can gather her thoughts, strategize, and even, dare I say, manipulate events to her advantage.
It's like she's saying, hey, world, you might think this is just a silly little tea party.
Right.
But I'm actually running the show from right here.
Precisely.
And that's what makes it so subversive.
Okay, I love that.
She's taking a symbol of female domesticity and turning it into a weapon, a way to challenge the patriarchal structures that try to keep women in their place.
Okay, I'm officially obsessed with this theory.
Me too.
It's like Maddie's tea parties are this secret society where women can gather, share their wisdom, and plot their revolution.
I love the way you put that.
Pink?
And it's not just about overt revolution.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming power in subtle ways.
Right.
It's about recognizing the value of feminine energy and intuition and using it to navigate the world on our own terms.
It's like those old school quilting bees where women would gather to sew and gossip, but secretly they were running the community, sharing information, and building networks of support.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's about finding strength in community.
Yeah.
In sharing our stories and in supporting each other's journeys.
And maybe, just maybe, it all starts with a simple cup of tea.
I think you might be onto something there.
I think so too.
But there's so much more to uncover about Maddie's connection to tea.
Right.
And its deeper significance.
Right. Let's dive even deeper in part 3.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the enigmatic world of Maddie Hatter.
And we're back.
Before the break, we were discussing how Maddie's seemingly simple tea parties might actually be a powerful tool for self-care mindfulness.
Right.
And even, dare I say,
oh, here we go.
Subtle rebellion.
I love it.
It's amazing how much depth we're finding in a character.
I know, it's crazy.
Who, at first glance, might seem like just a whimsical addition to a children's story.
Right.
But that's the beauty of symbols, isn't it?
It is.
They can hold so many layers of meaning.
Absolutely.
And speaking of symbols, let's talk about tea itself.
Okay, the tea.
I mean, it's not just a random beverage that Maddie happens to love.
Right.
The source material points out that tea has a long and fascinating history, steeped in ritual and symbolism.
So when Maddie offers someone a cup of tea, it's not just a polite gesture. It's an invitation into a whole world of meaning.
Exactly.
I like that.
Think about the traditional Japanese tea ceremony, for example.
Okay.
It's not just about drinking tea. It's a highly choreographed ritual that emphasizes mindfulness presence and respect.
So like every movement, every gesture, every sip is infused with intention and meaning.
Precisely.
Wow.
And I think we can see echoes of that in Maddie's tea parties.
Okay, how so?
She's not just brewing a beverage. She's creating a space, a moment, an experience that transcends the ordinary.
It's like she's inviting people into her own personal wonderland.
Exactly.
Where the rules of logic and reason don't necessarily apply.
And that's where the magic happens.
Okay, tell me more.
When we step outside of our everyday routines, and into a space of ritual and intention.
Huh?
We open ourselves up to new possibilities, new ways of seeing the world, and even new ways of being.
Okay, but let's be real for a second.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm ready to start performing elaborate tea ceremonies in my living room.
Sure.
Is there a way to tap into this power of ritual
Yeah.
without going full-on Mad Hatter?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Remember, it's not about the specific ritual itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the intention behind it.
Okay.
It's about creating those small mindful moments in your day.
Right.
Where you can slow down, connect with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and tap into your own inner wisdom.
So it could be something as simple as taking a few deep breaths before starting your workday.
Exactly.
Or lighting a candle and spending 5 minutes journaling before bed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or maybe it's about savoring your morning coffee instead of gulping it down on the way to the bus stop.
Right.
It's about finding those little rituals that help you feel grounded, centered, and connected to something larger than yourself.
I love that.
Me too.
It's like we can create our own personal tea ceremonies,
Right.
tailored to our own individual needs and preferences.
Exactly.
It's all about personalization.
And that's what Maddie Hatter teaches us.
How so?
It's not about conforming to some external standard of what a tea party should be.
Right.
It's about creating a ritual that feels authentic and meaningful to you.
So it's about finding our own wonderland.
Yeah.
Our own way of tapping into the magic that exists in the everyday.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
And,
Good.
there's one more layer to this tea symbolism
Okay.
that I find particularly intriguing.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The source mentions that in some cultures,
Huh?
tea is associated with prophecy and divination.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Like reading tea leaves?
exactly.
Oh, wow.
In some traditions, the patterns left by tea leaves in a cup are believed to hold clues about the future.
So maybe Maddie's tea parties aren't just about mindfulness and ritual.
Right.
Maybe they're also about tapping into her intuition
Yeah.
and gaining insights into what's to come.
That's a fascinating possibility, isn't it?
It is.
And it connects back to what we were talking about earlier
Okay.
about Maddie's potential for neurodivergence
Uh-huh.
and her heightened awareness of the narrative.
It's like she's seeing the world through a different lens.
Right.
And maybe that includes glimpses into the future.
And perhaps her tea parties are a way for her to process those insights,
Oh, okay.
to make sense of the seemingly chaotic and nonsensical nature of Wonderland.
Wow. Okay, my mind is officially blown again.
I know, right?
But I think this brings us to a really important question.
What's that?
If Maddie's tea parties are about tapping into our intuition and connecting with our inner wisdom,
Yeah.
how can we do that in our own lives?
That's a great question. And it's something that many spiritual teachers and self-help gurus have explored.
Right.
There are many different practices that can help us develop our intuition,
Uh-huh.
from meditation to journaling
Yeah.
to simply paying attention to our dreams.
So it's about cultivating that inner voice,
Yes.
that gut feeling
Yes.
that tells us what's right for us, even when it doesn't make logical sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's about learning to trust that voice even when the world around us is telling us to ignore it.
It's like Maddie Hatter trusting her own madness, even when everyone else is telling her she's crazy.
Exactly.
You go, girl.
And I think that's the most important lesson we can learn from Maddie Hatter.
Okay, what is it?
It's about embracing our uniqueness, our
Yeah.
quirks, our madness,
Right.
and using it to navigate the world in a way that feels authentic and true to ourselves.
It's about finding our own wonderland,
Yeah.
brewing our own magic, and living a life that's as extraordinary as we are.
Beautifully said.
Thanks. I'll try.
And on that note, I think it's time to raise a cup of tea
Yes, let's do it.
to Maddie Hatter, the queen of mad wisdom and the ultimate inspiration for living a life
I love that.
that's a little less ordinary and a lot more extraordinary.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Maddie Hatter.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
We had a blast.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Same here. It's always so fun.
And remember, as you navigate the twists and turns of your own life,
Yeah,
don't forget to channel your inner Maddie Hatter.
good advice.
Embrace your quirks, find your wonderland, and never underestimate the power of a good cup of tea.
Well said. That's all for this deep dive.